Dr. Bukoto psychiatrist. Ya ona avelea umasui mateo ile mobile crisis team. Ya ola ngal wenga o le vava aima assess le tangata le umna mirso soani wa a whapela ua malia mai le tangata ilana safety plan pe malia mai fo ile support system o tangata lea e au mai tutonu ile clinic se faisina ngal wenga ale officer ngata le tonu ya a whapea fo ila wa tau nu mai le officer ya ona lai e tusoani atile ile mato officer wal mato officer e ya ilava ya mato ofangal wenga tele ya awala sosone mato care coordinators o tangata ia faso ta ile tangata maisi resources ile community emana mirto so alcohol anger management and so forth as temi to fa mama atilia tu isi proclam la ya but olingal wengal mato officer e lava temi e tutupuai mafaufaunga suicidal ideation. And sometimes it can be stress related, it can be triggered by whatever things that are going on around the house or your environment. But sometimes only melo tupulava ono le imbalance or chemical or mafaufaus is low, but ole melana ya ngal wengal forma susue. Now, if so medication wise, to make sure if for inaibe so sonia tuai ngas mafafo pe your depression, por anxiety, por nisi to inga ngas mafafo infenso so anima nga ye for la out ya so lingalingala na uya pe walu le mobile crisis team as a nurse, vai falema assess ya na tangata po se si olom na mneso sani yap ma offer yele services all over no ile behavioral health clinic il forma tai
ese man manga yer fa so wa ka ngela ko oko ya ngai key points le weta wa not only you guys have a list of professionals that you work with to help the caller when you develop the safety plan, if they are in compliance, or if they agree to come in for these services. Wa ngali fa pe mveka ko fosira ka sau ole lava ta pena vela ofenga ringa na only to talk down le tangata le whatever the situation may be, la wa talk down is we lenga ma fau wangi follow through male suicide pole langa plan le lenga fa ye fa matie fu langa yola le weta wa you guys have a psychiatrist on board that you guys work with or consult with or so strong. Not only that, you are a nurse, you guys have counselors, you guys have a list of professionals. Ilifa bia ngale operator yelila tawavel ni ngadwinga. But tell lava ni si au nanga lewa fa ilo sa nonga, just so our community, our people understand that they are not alone. Whatever the case may be, because stress can be from built up anxiety or a whole list of problems compounding together, and then it weighs down my mafafo le tangata. Sometimes masalo ima mawale le ngi mga or suicide, but life happens. Either you lost someone, or you got fired, you got laid off, you're failing in school, you're failing at home, and then all these things combine. Yet ngike yawa masalo voya esiaka ngai makamakai, or some of the events because or tonu foi masinga ni se tema pena mata ua foi maleu so ya sefo ipokala mama vai na only fata ua ai foi le no fo matala sio tato tonu about suicide, and the help that's available out there for them. We also highlighted in our last program, some of the key events that happened in the month of September, which was the 9/11 terrorist attacks that happened, in the U.S., how some people are still traumatized and affected by this. And, later on this month, as we mentioned in our previous program, it was the tsunami. That was a local event. Some are still coping with it, dealing with it. Some are still very stressed out about it because for some, it might be a success because they survived. But for others, it might not be a pleasant memory. Masalo ito fafang mai fo inisi langona ti na po langona whatever nga tanu ilalo Kia le wo ia tūlanga. A te whaftai le ngata le sunga wa ia sefo. Ia ma oe Patricia ma au whingaringa a toa everyone that's involved. As I believe, as Sif was mentioned earlier, you guys here at the Department of Health work with the Department of Public Safety, Emergency Medical Service, the EMS, the hospitals. I believe you guys also work with Human and Social Services, because they got these shelters lined up as a whole list of agencies and NGOs out in the community. Manaya fule ACC fa popo leu so ya se fo tu sai fo with nanga lewata ua el tinaya Patricia porta mai tai tausi mai fo some of the stuff that they do at the clinic, assessments, if I'm a psychiatrist, but ila le behavioral health services nanga fa mai AC counseling services lo available ya fa yanga fa ilo lo masio tato tunu awa fula to silafia. What else is available here at behavioral health services? From one more.
After you sano actually somali nurse Patricia ilato inga wenga oli clinic tele o tangata my name o sa ile so swani ia e fai mo ali assessment lental no Patricia loa ia por memena amia le medication, and sometimes the person would need the combination of medication and psychotherapy or patanoa ya o patasima wala le mai el forma o neila ya tato the outpatient, the community based programs olo ya ila ya fofotu olo lato patinoina ya counseling mai ese ala ya tulanga o wasenga ni e ilo senga e whapitoa lava mo le ita o anger management ia e ili si wasenga e a fui mo whapitoa lava mo tukulanga ila lo malo suva to assessment ia o whai ia na mai e ilona ia o lana recommendation na e a mai neile tangata e whaawawaile le counseling ia ia ai whaawaule ai e ia tangata lea o no tūlanga o medication o le sila na au nanga o tātou whaatinoina i sile wa engo le tātou lala
se man mana ia so e waalua la medications tūlanga le whaatino o le clinic e vanga Patricia ma psychiatrist au i la e senga whaafautua mana ia te le wa ulang kausili aku wa nisi mta upo aleo ta o anger management ia wa kero koimi le kalme vave fai unga fai a fai la o le fai unga tangata lea o le suicide ongol menga ika ia fa tai la ele au finga ringa por singa fa to a counseling services to discuss share I believe or group sessions be kanga for individual sessions ba for tangata ele prepare to be in a group setting fa talang all anger management
Fontana na momo ia ale tangata le man fa fontu ia e tam fai vole so swani ia transitioning to a group counseling I be amata twala le individual sessions for la ia wifi for le meta o le treatment plan o ai goals for senior mana o tangata le I mea o lo o ave malu tanga no langa ma ua afia I lona tūlanga o mea whai lea suma lea suma ia peo ina ngai fuanga ia I runga le treatment lea ina ia mai atu le porkalam ia au ia au sia ia treatment goals ia wais e whai mai al tangata na treatment plan ia sia tu tatu ia e paulman tatu o sosuani awala ina ia mawhai al tangata lea ona au sia ia kosia o whatara noina mai ea matanga ai la nisi o tūlanga o issues e mna amia o na whatara noa ia o nā lawa ia tātou groups na I whai o na enroll right for ia tangata lea ia e o whaatasi malana whautua le whai individual le whai na o ia ma le whautua
You know, I like that you mentioned individual counselings,
Mhm.
transition up with group counselings, arufa kasi ma medications o lo offer mai for ka ko clinic, anger management. Ya to tono foi I le vanga le o ko singa fa fo tua, because you know some people deal with suicide or other stress differently. Misalo inisio lo cope using alcohol and drugs a tono foi. O nisi po kalama le o lo whatautai e to offering a ringa, por to office, e so swangi tangata e involve umai kong treatment planning ngai ta ua. Alisi me ma ngai e ngai ta ua. Goals. Ngai rewa pe e sai uli polale umio ni po kalama ai le ngi singi. Goals e work towards kangaka de anma nai e foi. O goals lava ina tus tangata e work ai ngai e loi penga e isa ngar ngi po kalama mo ia wai they can come as often as they want. Whai e reo i eise the end result, yeah. I ke ua mawango ua lao saka ko ia kako. Ai whawhakai mangingo le assessments, whongotanga mal formai, whongotanga male au whengaruenga. E sosoani e guide le tangata le ina tue, you know, whoka ingana na mawhauwhau, nge ke ua vawe sang whai unga, ai mai mawila na ola. Tonu foi o nisi foi singa services. Offer it all equal families, while young at individual. I also believe they help out for go families year too long. I bet for a lot more me for. Before we finish our program, fa longo lenga to outreach. Lenga mention for the tapo kalama o mavai. I don't know uti for ta taimi. Ya lela ku ok for lunga ka text box. Olo alu pea while young at fa tala nonga nipo kalama. Ya alo ngā lulua pera au whenga ruenga maatu I tuai clinic ese, bien whai whena mai se whatarsanga to tonu. E atu e fwoi tui nuu malala whanga. E whai se whorsanga patino e fwoi nem tau pulanga pino tau. E lesem tau pu whengo fie. But since we are still losing people to suicide, moving into the end of 2024, le la sauri 2025, ya e lea ngā koe no fua e tātou umalava le ngata lau whenga runga, but everyone as a whole. But te whaftai lava man whavanolua taimi. Tu sai fo I mana tue whaonga tapo kalama le neas. Whaftai luso ia sefo. Whaftai fo I le tamatai. Tausi mai fo ia Patricia mlo a wail tato po kalama le neaso. Ia re nei fo I whamalu luas fo I le tato atunu. Pe a whai fo I se tam whainga vai e le tau fo au whenga runga ia. O nau ta inga ia lavea I ola. Ma so soani ia oe ia e soifua malo loina. A tato po kalama na le nei tu la whaftai, soifua.
Talofa, olo e mai mo mai le tautua le ala talua le KVZK TV, Pango America Samoa. You are watching KVZK TV Channel 2, Pango American Samoa. Talofa, olo e mai mo mai le tautua le ala talua le KVZK TV, Pango America Samoa. You are watching KVZK TV Channel 2, Pango American Samoa.
Ua whailo mai le kovana sili se fesoasoani tupe mo Amerika Samoa. O loo whaua upea suenga a le vaa suesue le Noriles i ngā teifale o le atunu. Ma o loo wha ngā solo ngā ruenga mo tāpenanga le atunu u mo whaalave tutupu whaafuse.
O te whaatalo whātu i le mai mua mai o le tātu tunu i se whaapuponga nei o tala mai lau KVZK, tan ton fo i le nganga sa solonga rei whi au ma ngā ruenga tiu te mawhaiva sa whengai mana tātu tunu i le āmatanga fo i o le dewe nyaso. E mo matu tātu tala ua whaino mai le awhionga i le kovana siri a le manu po le poisia le ngā maunga se fesosoani tupe ua tuina mai a Amerika Samoa e ala i se seleni e siri atu ma le whase lau lua se fururua whetala e tawala mai le matanga ruenga le Federale o le Interior po le Department of the Interior i lalo le tūlafono le malo te le ta ua le Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. O le fesosoani tupe ua vaivaina i le wha tinoina o fuafuanga e peo na talosanga inai. E siri atu ma le tolu se lau ono se fururi ma whetala ua vaivaina i le vaenga o le Biosecurity a le ofisa le kovana whapea le American Samoa Biosecurity Leadership Team a wavaenga e tatau o na whaia e pui ai le si manga i tutonu le atunu ma o so se uta po o ni mea tōtino e a whaina i le si manga whapea le soifua le lei ma le saunga le mua Amerika Samoa. E siri atu ma le lima se fuluono a whetala ua whaanganga moni a o onga ma basenga tā ua awale a o wino to mai ma le malama awale tausia ma awala e mawhai ai o na saunga le mūle soifua ma le ola o le mamalu le atunu. Ini so tala e peo na tu inatu i whaasara launga ua mawai alau KVZK o loo whaua upea ia suenga a le vaa sue le Noriles i lana malanga ta amilo i ngata i whale o Amerika Samoa o loo mawhai ai o na mawai le avanoa e sila mamala mai le mamalu le atunu i le tūlanga i ia ma whingota o le sami ai maise o nisi o tala i le suenga a le vaa sue le Noriles i vaenga o le sami o Amerika Samoa e le i o ia i se malama. Ona o le mawae o masini o loo whaonga whaapele tumai o loo iai i sai nisi whaapea nisi o le vaenga o le au malanga. O mawhai ai o na waai ma sila i o tātou ngāta i whale ma tau lumanga uma o loo whiangai ma lea vaa sue o le sami. E mawhai o na awai ma sila e ana i do lātou tuatusi upenga ta whailangi i le norileslive.org. O loo iai fo i alo ma whanau le atunu o loo awai nei suenga. O nisi o i lātou sa tu inatu i vaiaso o mawhai ai o se tasio alo le atunu ule sunga ia se te whano a umanga o ia o se whaia onga i le aonga tūlanga muamua a le awhanu tele o se tasi foi o tō tino o le vaasu isu a le Noriles.
O lau ingo se te whano umanga o te sau mai le nu o vatia o leo te whaingaluenga whaia onga i le aonga tūlanga muamua i awhanu tele elementary school ia po le lau mua le tūla toa. Ele umalanga nga whaatai le atua ona le avanoa whaapitoa o mawhaiai ona whidiwhidia ele o nei tangata whatauwa. Ele vaenga o le Ocean Exploration Trust po le OET e whai masui o se tasi whaia onga mai le ofisa o a onga i Amerika Samoa. E aveila au e whai ma se tasi o tangata o le auwaa ia mo suenga whaasai nisi i lalo le sami. O lea ua turna i aso ona whaamai e ina leo mātou ngā luenga sue whaasai nisi ia e lua se fulu whaaso ia leana fuafua ai le nei whaamoemoe o le vaiaso lon toru nei ma o loo mātou iai nei i se nofoanga e taua o le maunga loloto i vailulu o vailulu seamount. E telenga luenga ia mātou mai ese umawhai ona i loa ma ausia i lungo le nei vaa. ia sa avea uma se tasi vaenga o le Science Communication Fellow po le SCF o le tangata le so tai ma tangata o loo mata mai lunga o le lunga o penga tawhailangi pe a yaini o lato visili ia e whaatatau fo i teimi o mato suesuenga e whao ngā i o mato masingi suesue po ROVs o le isinga luenga o le whaatinoina o le sona po o onga i lunga o penga tawhailangi po le Zoom ia onga mai so se atunu lava ia e mawhai ona restala i le pokalama e tau o le ship to shore e le ngata fo i lea ua mawai fo i lea wanoa e whala wai tele fo i le malama i vaenga ese po masini po teknolosi ese o lo wha ngā ina wha atino inga luenga sue wha sai nisi lalo le sami ia e iai ia masini o lo i loa ia lau whanua po lau ele po o maunga i lalo le sami o masini e taua ROVs ia ma isi vaenga ese e mawhai ona iai ia le malama i ala le i amu o amu o ia ma fingoto lo mawhai ona maua i lalo i le sami pe ama le whaafe i le ono afe mita le loloto ia e momoli atu la le nganga whaaftai ia i le ofisa onga ia po tai foi o le ofisa onga tulanga mua o le ofisa o ngata i fale whaasao a le malo Amerika Samoa o le pule a onga ia ma senga whai a onga mai a Fonotele Elementary School ia e meise foi ia se matau a inga e ka le sia mo wo o lo tatalo ia matui mai le muli papanga a wafo i le nei wha moe ia wha manui atu le atua ma ngare lei mai i te ute mga luenga o lo tuto i le matau wa sue ia e meise ia tātou te whenua i foi ia pe a taunu atu foi i le wafu ia po a inga wha whitai.
I se tau mawhainga a le matanga luenga le Homeland Security ma le Territorial Emergency Management ina ia whaia ni Port Kalame. E visosoani ai i le antunuu i le nofo tāpena mō whaalawe whaare nātura whaafosei. E au fia ai whaafanua o nofoanga sulufai mai ngā lulolo whaapea Port Kalama whaalea au onga e tusa ma le malama ma le whaonga i nau whaailo pe atula i mai whaalawe whaafosei. O lea fo i tau mawhainga ina ia ngā lulue whaatasi i a whioanga mō lātou tō tino whaapea le pule ngā whai pule mamatai. O le taona leila sa atu ina atu ai se tino i tupe tusa lea ma le se fulu wafe tāna i le a whioanga o whangasa a wafo fuanga e tāpena ai mō whaalawe whaare nātura e la matia ai le soifua ma le olau le lautele. Ine se talau se tasi o whaamoemoe sa whaataunuina i le aso whareilo le vaiaso wa tea o le whaalawi loina o le tusi e urutala e whaapea o le pi whaitau o le a au. O le whaamoemoe a se tasi o tamaitai tusi tala sa malanga mai a tunu mamao e swafa ia Lawrence Scanlon. O se tasi o fuafuanga i lona whina ngalo. Ina ia whesoasoani ai i le ngā duenga o le awa wina i le ngana Samoa i alo mawhanau e ala i le alfabeti Samoa po le alphabet e whaonga i nā i le au. Sa whaatumulia le whaamoemoe e sa mawhai foi o na maua se whaamalamalanga po whaamtalanga o le whaamoemoe mai le awhionga i a pese tā te alunga se loti.
Aftai i le ekalesia kerisiano so se tu ainga ua iloa e matou tangata tusi. Wa iloa e o matou tua a whaamau tala o matou ai. So fuele ainga malana api. E tusi e lātou tua a. Tau iei a lātou tala wa e lea so e le toe oro. Ua whainga tāo na toe whamatala e toe ina wapisi umatangata. Ia au mea lofa nā tusi. Lea lau whaawau mai lava. E le tamaitai o Lauren manisi umar nei tupulanga. Ua mawhai ona whaongaina le talentus tusi. Lauren soifua mai le motu tele nei o savai. Le motu pesta o le motu aina le tangata. O le fiafianga o lona o langa lo iei nei o le whaitonga la au e alwe study me o la au. She collects pollen generated seeds. O le tasi o na fiafianga. O le tau whaile au whaatasi mai la tau lo lawe a ina o tātou wā au.
sa no fo i le tamato ina le sunga le tai fono ao le kalesia fa putonga kerisiano America Samoa ya fa etete sai foloi e tusa maleta uol fa manatu o le ngaduenga e fa pipi i le fuafuanga sa amtalia mai e le lamo sa i aso ualu.
O le mea mānaia le taumawhainga lea o se mea fau e tātou te nonofo i lalo ma mawhauwhau wa ngai luma le soifuanga wa o ina ai whanau o le atunu ia e mese lava swinga o mai wa o le pitau le tau e le kālesia tātou le lamo sa le ta fua mai ai le ngā lue ngā whamisionale ia le fua tasi se kālesia le lava ua a ngai tele i tua i kālesia le whaanga ina o le ngangana o le tuspaia. Le mānei o le piri lea wa tātou sila foi ma wawa ai o se lui tau lea mo le kālesia. E me se lava tamba e tō tele lau whaingaluenga ua mana o e sui ina ia whaaffaingo fia i tamaiti le awa o ina o le a e i ua maasani lava i le mea tuai na o mai ai. O lea ua iai nisi o le au whaingaluenga. O to i ina mawhai au ia manisi fo e tupu matamali o le atunu. E tau mawhai e whaaffaingo fia le sel mānai o le tusi la uwawa ai atu. E paua o nei whaaleongo o isi upu e whaisi whainta mua tātou whanau. O se ngā luenga le leia tilo i ei tātou uma. Me le moli tele whaafitai i a te oe le awhine po le tamaitai foi ua o ili tau mwhai le dei tūlanga maoa. E ta uma i a tātou o Samoa o whea lava le mea o nonofo mau ai. O le whinau ma tau vivi na ia whaafai ngō whia le ngā luenga.
I tatu tala mai ia pia, i 54 tausanga o le soifua o se tasi o tamā mai le awhio ango whasi to uta e suawhai a pokati tuu po pokati whaataui o lo tau fia e leo i ona mōdianga e tusa ma le whaanawelawe sa tulai mai le asolu se fulfao le masino iulai o le tausanga nei. I le maliwai o se tasi o lii mai le awhio ango no fuali i whaapele tangata valeina o se tasi o lii malu o le malo e suawhai a peniami na perite. I whaamtalanga o le whaanawelawe. O le aso sa maliwai se tasi o tamā mai no fuali a o le aso sa soai sa tangata valei nai le sunga ya perite a o ngafa o ia ma suenga o le mata upu. I le taiminei o lo tau fia pea tuu whaataui i le ofisa o leo e tāli ai le aso e ilo ai le au whaingo le tupe e tutongi e te tala mai ai o ia itua. O tātu tala muli o tala mili Pasifika. O le vaso de nei ua fuafua te tala i tua le li a George Spate sa taita ia leo so whainga i le whainga malo a fiti i le tausanga i le wafe. O se tasio ngā ioi ngā lea li i malana vaenga. O le tau fia wha malosi leo le pāle mia malana kāpeneta i tutonu o le mauto le pāle mene mō le sili atu i le masina. O le tau mawhainga ina ia tūlai mai ia Mahendra Bal Chandri e avea ma pāle mia o fiti. O se tasi mai li tu aingo afa intia fiti o lātou tūpuanga. O se tasi leo mafuanga sa iai e nisi o tangata moni o fiti. Ona o le manatu ina ia tūlai mai se tangata anu moni e taita ia le malo fiti le teimi. Sa suia le whainga malo ina ia toi whaia le palo tamuli buliane. Peitai e mai ae le lea wha moe moe ua telepisi nisi ma mea tūtino tangata intia fiti na wha lea ngaina. O si mai alau mai moe se wa ingo le tātu tau wha pēr fo i tūlango iai le tātu tai le nei fo i awhiawhi. Ma le whaiunga nau tātou tala mai lau KVZK le amatanga fo i o nei yaso e toi moa tu seisi o na whaapuponga fōu i le aso a te au manu te leina fuawhanga toe le tātou tunuu tō whāsifua.
American Samoa receives biosecurity project funds from Office of Insular Affairs. Nautilus exploration vessel continues expedition around American Samoa waters. Pangasa Village receives funds for a tsunami preparedness program. Talo Falava, American Samoa, and welcome to your evening news here on KVZK TV. The Honorable Governor Lemanu Palipoisialanga Maunga is pleased to announce that American Samoa has been awarded more than $422,000 through the Office of Insular Affairs of the Department of the Interior under the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law for fiscal year 2024. These funds will support two critical biosecurity projects aimed at enhancing the territory's environmental resilience and safeguarding biodiversity. The awarded projects are as follows. $365,800 has been granted to the Biodiversity Division of the Governor's Office and the American Samoa Biosecurity Leadership Team for the fumigation and incineration capacity to fill critical biosecurity gaps in the American Samoa project. This project, detailed in the July 31st, 2024 proposal, will address key biosecurity challenges to protect American Samoa's natural heritage. $56,362 has been allocated to the Biodiversity Division for the development of American Samoa's biosecurity resilience with the first on-island biosecurity training. This initiative will focus on training and strengthening biosecurity measures in the territory as outlined in the July 31st, 2024 proposal. Governor Lemanu expressed his gratitude for the continued support of the Office of Insular Affairs, stating, "These projects are important to the protection and sustainability of our island's rich biodiversity. The funding provided will ensure we have the necessary tools and expertise to respond effectively to biosecurity threats." Assistant Secretary Carmen Cantor, in her letter to Governor Lemanu, emphasized the importance of these initiatives, noting that the Office of Insular Affairs is committed to supporting American Samoa in the successful implementation of these projects. Nunia Solile with your KVZK News. The entire Nautilus expedition aims to connect with audiences across American Samoa and the Pacific Island region through many different outreach programs. On board, STEAM professionals will also connect directly to classrooms through free educational questions and answer interactions from the ship's broadcast studio. Additionally, OET offers over 150 free STEAM education resources for K-12 learners in English, Samoan, Hawaiian, and Spanish, including National Standard Aligned activities, engineering design challenges, and creative projects for learners in the classroom or at home. Exploring these sites will also provide a gateway to captivate and engage broad audiences across American Samoa and the Pacific Island region through telepresence-based exploration. Sharing with us tonight his experience and knowledge is Mr. Stefano Umanga from the village of Batia, who is a teacher at the Afonotele Elementary School and is also Science Communication Fellow.
Hi, my name is Stefano Umanga. I'm from the village of Batia. I'm a teacher at Afonotele Elementary School, also known as the home of the Chiefs. It's an incredible honor and privilege to have been selected by the Ocean Exploration Trust, or the OET, to join this EV Nautilus expedition titled Imamana Ngatsai Falelua. This mission is dedicated to exploring the deep waters offshore of American Samoa, and we embark on September 1st, and we'll return to port on the 24th of this month. We want to thank all of our expedition partners for such a successful mission. As we approach the end of the expedition, we are currently exploring a hydrothermal vent here at the Vailulu Seamounts, located near the Manua Islands. On this expedition, I had the privilege of serving as part of the Science Communication Fellow, or the SCF team, and my role involves a mix of communication, education, and public outreach. During our OV dives, I provide real-time updates on our websites and engage with viewers, responding to their comments and questions they have. I'm also part of the ship-to-shore interaction on Zooms, where I connected with schools, communities, and people interested in learning about our discoveries, the various careers paths, and opportunities available through the Nautilus expedition. Over the past few years, I've learned so much, especially the advanced technology we're using, the geological features of seamounts, the fascinating biological species we encounter. One of the highlights for me was being able to see humpback whales up close near the ships. It was truly an unforgettable experience. But as a teacher, I've gained valuable knowledge about seafloor mapping, equipments that are equipped with our ROVs or our remotely operated vehicles, the telepresence systems that we use for the internet connection, and how we collect different samples like species, rocks, and also DNAs. This experience will greatly enrich my teaching back home, and I want to express my heartfelt thanks to the Department of Education for giving me this rare opportunity, to my school principal and staff for their continued support.
The American Samoa Department of Homeland Security's Territorial Emergency Management Coordination Office Tsunami Program is dedicated to ensuring the readiness and preparedness of the people of American Samoa during a catastrophic tsunami event. The ASDHS TEMCO is committed to the territory's tsunami preparedness through the development of tsunami evacuation maps, identification of safe zones, as well as offering educational outreaches regarding the hazards and impacts of tsunamis. The goal for this project is to empower the coastal villages, especially village councils and Aumanga, to play a more active role in their villages' tsunami preparedness efforts by way of education, evacuation route developments and enhancement, raising awareness on tsunami hazards, as well as developing tsunami evacuation plans and exercising these plans. Whangasa has been selected as one of the first villages for this project due to its size, as well as the damages it sustained during the 2009 tsunami. This is a one-time monetary assistance of $10,000 provided to the Whangasa Village Council and Whangasa Village Aumanga. In other news, a special event took place at the Fileti Barstow Library last Friday, the launching of a children's Samoan alphabet book using choral words and images. This great work of literary genre was written and put together by Miss Lauren Scallon, who resides in the United States, for the purpose of assisting non-Samoan speakers and also a reminder to pass down the knowledge of our Samoan words to generations to come, using creativity and ingenuity.
I've worked in every field except obstetrics and pediatrics, but I love being around kids and I love hearing stories. Because when I was growing up in Lalumalava, my grandma used to take us to her faleo'o, and she would make all these whangongos for us before we go to bed. When COVID hit in 2020, it was a very devastating time in American history because it started in Seattle. People were just dying. No one knew what was going on, why people were dying. We in the hospital were just taking care of them and trying to survive at the same time. It was devastating because all our colleagues some were really struggling to deal with the daily deaths of people we had to take to the morgue. And I had to think of what was more joyful in my life, and that was going fishing with my mom on the coral reef when I was growing up. So I set out to do this project because there were a lot of Samoans coming in and they didn't know how to speak Samoan. So I wanted them to start from the basics of the alphabet. I talked my non-Samoan friends into buying the book, and they were really excited about the book. The book is illustrated by my niece, Anna, and our technical design was done by my nephew, Viliamu. He's our computer whiz. So thanks to both of them, we have this book. I'm so grateful to be here to answer any questions. I just wanted the book to bring awareness to what you have in your background, that all these children need to not just pass by or go to McDonald's, but look at the ocean and learn what's in the ocean.
In our news from Apia, the 58-year-old man accused of shooting 2 people to death has denied all charges against him and wants to be released on bail. Bokati Tu'u, also known as Bokati Fa'ataui, entered his plea before the Supreme Court Judge Justice Fipule'ai Amiperosa Roma on Monday. He was represented by lawyer Tanya Toailoa, who appeared on behalf of Maunga Precious Chang. Tu'u is facing charges of murder, manslaughter, causing serious bodily injury, causing injury, assault, armed with a dangerous weapon, possession of ammunition, unlicensed firearm, and presenting a firearm. The charges are in connection to the death of a slain police officer, Detective Sergeant Beniamina Perite, and a Nofoali resident. Tu'u of Fasto'ota has been in custody since July of this year and filed a bail application. Justice Roma adjourned the matter to next Monday to allow the prosecution to file a response to the bail application. Tu'u was captured by police on the 24th of July of this year after a police hunt and was held in custody. Police reported the defendant allegedly murdered the Nofoali man on a Sunday, and he shot Sergeant Perite on Monday as he carried out his investigation into the homicide case. And finally, in our news for tonight, from the region, this week, both George Spite and Shane Stevens were pardoned and released from prison custody. Spite went to prison for treason by overthrowing the elected government of Mahendra Chaudhry. Shane Stevens went to jail for his role in mutiny at the Queen Elizabeth Barracks. Several of Fiji men in uniform lost their lives and forever changed the Fijian armed forces. It destroyed the colorful history of the armed forces and seriously dented its proud reputation and credibility. However, it seems that those who were directly affected by this have accepted the decision for them to be pardoned and have forgiven them. Chaudhry's son, Rahandra, who was one of the hostages and faced the brunt of the violence, accepted their pardon. It seems like Mahendra Pal Chaudhry, the Indo-Fijian prime minister that was overthrown by Spite, has also forgiven the coup leader, but wants strict conditions placed on him so that he never plays racial politics again and brings destruction and division among Fiji's people. He should be banned from holding or vying for public office. As far as Stevens is concerned, the Fijian armed forces are in a reconciliation and healing process, so it seems they have also accepted the pardon of Stevens. The military has gone to a great extent to reconcile by even reaching out to those who harmed the unity among Fijian men and women in uniform. Nono Yasolile with your KVZK News. Please stay tuned for your weather and tide report.
Talofa, olo e mai mo mai le tautua le ala talua le KVZK TV, Pango Pango, America Samoa. You are watching KVZK TV Channel 2, Pango Pango, American Samoa.
Voice of the Sea, learning from experts across the ocean.
Welcome to Voice of the Sea. In this episode, we learn about the pristine environment of Rose Atoll with Monument Manager Frank Pendleton. Frank works with scientists from NOAA to measure the environmental health of Samoa's Rose Atoll.
I met Frank in his office at the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services in Pongo Pongo Bay on Tutuila, the main island of American Samoa. The Samoan Islands are in the heart of Polynesia, with Hawaii, Easter Island, and New Zealand making up the 3 points of the Polynesian Triangle. Rose Atoll is at the base of the island chain, serving as an important wildlife refuge. Frank and I began our discussion of Rose Atoll by looking at underwater maps to better understand its geology.
What you can see here is we start at this end. Here's Western Samoa, the big islands and lots of reef right around them. Then we move over here to Tutuila where we are, and you can see it's all kind of connected. And there's the Manua Islands, and it's still, there's a bit of a gap, but still kind of a connection. Then a big gap between there and Rose. And it really tells you about Rose. It's I always call it the oldest bit of Samoa on the youngest end of the island chain. And it's much older than anything else here. The Western Samoan Islands are older than American Samoa. That's why our islands are steeper, and theirs are flatter. And so you get younger to Manua, and then you jump down to Rose, and you get the oldest by far, which is really neat. And you can tell it was created by what they call a different hotspot. So all these islands are created by volcanoes, which are created by lava shooting up out from the bottom of the ocean. That's a hot spot. So it makes Rose a very interesting place. And it seems like it's part of the geology of Samoa, but it's kind of its own little beast. All it's got is it's about 1.5 miles across. So 1.5 miles each way. So we've got just about a square mile of lagoon in the inside, a reef on the outside, and 2 tiny little islands. The biggest one, where most of the turtles are and most of the birds are, is just 15 acres. And that's got trees on it, and it doesn't have rats. And the smaller one is about 7 acres. And what's pretty cool about these islands here is the big one is what they call a pinned island. It's up on top of some raised coral. It's pretty stable. The other one is a pretty mobile island. It gets reshaped all the time. We've got air photos of it from 2001, and it's a completely different shape as air photos from 2011 because there was a hurricane between then. So the one will really change, the other one stays pretty stable. They changed quite a bit in shape, but size has stayed the same.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, pretty cool.
And how deep is it in the middle of the lagoon there?
The deepest spot, 98 feet, which is pretty universal at atolls. They're all pretty shallow. 200 feet would be a very deep atoll.
And then what about the surrounding water? Does it drop off quite quickly?
It drops off in a hurry. It pretty much goes at just about a 45-degree angle and goes and goes and goes down to about 2 miles.
Oh, wow.
So you quickly, as you done a little diving out near there, and as you start swimming out to get picked up by the boat, the ground just disappears. A little spooky.
It's a Rose Atoll Wildlife Refuge and National Marine Monument, is that right?
Right, we've got two places right there at the same place. There's right up tight around the atoll is Rose Atoll National Wildlife Refuge, and out 50 nautical miles from there is Rose Atoll Marine National Monument.
Can you explain the difference between the refuge and the monument?
Yeah, so the refuge was started in 1973, and that's a National Wildlife Refuge. It ends just right at the low water mark there, right around the refuge. And it was set aside for the protection of wildlife. In that place, specifically, we've got turtles that nest there, and a lot of seabirds that also nest there. There's corals and there's fish and whatnot that are all protected as well, and giant clams. So it was specifically set aside for the wildlife interests. Now the Marine National Monument, those are new. They were set aside by President Bush. There's several of them, and they're huge. It goes out 50 nautical miles. The total area is over 13,000 miles, and that's a much more general protection area for, it bans commercial fishing, and it's just general protection for that whole area. It definitely helps protect the refuge inside and expands that.
And why would you want to protect that area in particular? What is special about Rose Atoll?
There's a lot of things special about it, actually, but probably one thing that's so huge is that it's so out there and no one lives there, and the fact what we started with, green turtles nesting there. Because there's no one living there, the turtles can nest there. They don't have to worry about lights, people who might want to eat their eggs, dogs who might want to chase them, and whatever else. So it's a nice private place like that. There's no rats.
Oh, wow.
Ourselves, the Fish and Wildlife Service, working with the American Samoa Department of Marine and Wildlife Resources, back 20 years ago, back in 1992, killed all the rats. Extirpated them, I guess we'd say. So there's no more rats, which is an amazing thing, to have an island without rats. It's amazing how we've managed to introduce rats everywhere we go. They somehow came with us, sometimes hundreds, thousands of years ago, lots of times a lot more recent. But rats, they'll eat the birds, they'll eat the turtles, they'll eat the plants, the seeds and whatnot. So the fact that we have a place with no rats is huge. Great place for the birds to nest, great place for the turtles. And another thing about it is just it's so far away. There is no fresh water there, so no one can live there, which is a bonus for the wildlife. Not so good for people who might want to live there.
Although a lack of fresh water has prevented long-term settlement of Rose Atoll, Muliava, as it's known to Samoans, is an important cultural and fishing resource. The Heritage to Preserve documentary shares the story of Muliava.
For millennia, the people of Manua have had an important relationship with this atoll and its inhabitants, the birds and other life that reside here.
o te ngalue I te tono o matonu. Ai o te ea, e whai ala mau abe I eilo siu matai o. Ona o mea tō tino e tauna pui ai, tangata anu o manu.
The ancient name of the atoll is Muriama, meaning the end of a channel or pass. Another name is Nu'uomanu, the place or island of birds. A variety of species make up the colony of seabirds and the atoll. The great and lesser frigate bird, called Ahatafa in Samoan, are easily distinguished by their forked tail. The very large masked booby, which nests on the ground, is called a fu'o in Samoan. Another kind of fu'o, also prevalent, is the red-footed booby, the color of its feet being its distinguishing mark. The third type of booby or fu'o is the brown booby called fu'o manu'ula. The prevailing bird species on one side of the island are the sooty terns, which nest on the coral rubble on the ground, and the black and brown noddies, the ngongo in Samoan, which nest both in the trees and on the ground. The graceful white tern or manusina is also found, as well as the red-tailed tropic bird or tavaitoto, nesting near the roots of trees in the interior of the island, its long red-tailed feathers being its special feature. All these various seabirds are dependent on the sea for their food.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
The close human presence appeared to make the bird nervous, though it did not fly away.
Inga mai le mala wakula ngol fuo. Makula fa fanga ya maklo uyo. Ye fuo ai masinga mai ni fango kai.
Foi mai. Ya. O se fianga le motu nei. Ono le tele o fingota. Tele o tuina manu ese o mai mai. E fai me alofa mai ai la tofa na o lo fa mulia tu nei le motu.
Following the successful eradication of introduced rats in 1992 by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and American Samoa's Department of Marine and Wildlife Resources, bird chicks born here are no longer eaten by these predators. The next management goal is to eradicate the ants, which not only harm the birds, but also support the scale insects that are damaging the Pisonia trees, a species that is declining worldwide and which once dominated Rose Island. The atoll is an important nesting site of green turtles. These depressions in the sand are the evidence of past nests. The adult female turtle comes ashore and lays about 100 eggs. In about 60 days, the babies hatch and make their way to the shore. Most are eaten by predators before they reach the open ocean. The few that do survive may swim to far-off islands, such as Fiji, to feed on seagrass. After some 20 to 30 years, the females return to their birthplace to dig a nest and lay eggs, and so the cycle repeats.
Exploring Our Fluid Earth is the dynamic curriculum developed by the University of Hawaii's Curriculum Research and Development Group. The award-winning Fluid Earth and Living Ocean textbooks are now interactive and online. New activities, updated content, and a teacher community. Exploring Our Fluid Earth is now freely available. Find out more at exploringourfluidearth.org. Welcome back to Voice of the Sea.
So as the wildlife refuge manager, what do you do?
I'm the first ever refuge manager for here, which is...
wow.
Yeah, it's a very lucky thing. Yeah, it's a variety of things. It's counting our birds, tagging our turtles so we know where they're going and who else we can talk to about helping to conserve our turtles and whatnot. And that's everything for that. But we also have the monument, at the same time. So we work a lot with the National Marine Fisheries Service, the Sanctuary Program, the Department of Marine and Wildlife Resources from the territory here, and also the Department of Commerce from the territory. So getting everyone together so we can all manage this place as one unit together. So it's a bit of a challenge. But a lot of the day-to-day is much more, as you see around here, computer and meetings and whatnot.
What is your favorite part of being the refuge manager?
It is the few times a year I actually get to my refuge. So with Rose, it's a big deal. It's 200 miles away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's a big, mean ocean between us and there. And so I get there, right now, it's about 3 weeks a year. So we get out there, we have to do everything we can. This is better than a lot of our other refuges, which are so far. At least I can get there, it's only 200 miles. Some of the other ones are over 1,000 miles from where folks live. And
Do you go by boat?
We go by boat. We have a little charter company that's here right in Tutuila. They have a 6-pack license, which means they can take 6 people. So it's me and 5 of my best biological buddies. We go out there and do what we do. Once I took some folks from the park and from the MWR, we did coral surveys. And we took folks out there to do archaeology surveys. The folks from the, again, from the park and from the American Samoa Historic